14 East Beach Tree Lane. Is someone here for that?
Not sure the best way to.
I think if you can speak into the microphone and just mention.
Can you all see it?
If you put it on the table, there's a camera overhead. It'll show up on the screen. Yeah, it's good.
My name is Ed Dunning. I'm representing Bill and Joanna, and I'm a registered architect in the state of Pennsylvania. They want to replace an existing carriage house, which is in bad repair, with a 20 by 30 new carriage house, utilizing the same setbacks that exist for the older. This is a partial plot plan here. The residence is at this point, and the existing driveway comes back. This is the first floor of the garage with two cars. We have a pedestrian entrance at this point. Then you can go into the garage from this foyer area or upstairs to the second floor, which has a 9-foot ceiling and 5-foot knee walls around the edge. The fire barrier between the garage and the usable space. Oops, sorry. The usable space upstairs would be this wall and fire code drywall underneath the stairs. This is, the middle one is the front elevation. It has two 9-foot overhead doors, a pedestrian door, and then a substantial window area on the second level. This one is the side elevation facing on the right side, and this is the left elevation on the other. The materials would be a wood shingle that we would use to match the existing house. Several of the details from the existing house, the shingles up the rake, which is this here, is one we would like to repeat on this. We also have the we also have the off-center ridge, which is a rather prominent element on the existing residence. What we want to do is remove the deck, which was built adjacent to the existing porch. That does not seem to relate to other parts of the facade. So that would be coming off, this portion here.
Could you show us some pictures of what the existing building looks like right now?
The garage.
This is
The existing garage, yeah.
Oh, the existing garage.
Yeah. I know, but for everyone else. Yeah.
This is the front. This is the side towards the lawn, and this is the side that is closest to the property line.
And what is the condition of that right now?
It's pretty bad shape.
Yeah, dilapidated. Yeah, the existing condition is,
State your name, please.
I'm sorry, Bill Merriam, one of the owners of 214 East Peachtree. The existing condition of the current building is untied roof beams, suspicious for potential collapse. The assurance evaluator, when we moved in, basically said this should be a condemned building. I don't let my kids in there. I don't park my cars in there. We stuff the bikes or anything that I can run quickly in to get in there currently, but it's not in very good shape.
It looks like it's been altered, too. On the left-hand pic, are those two openings, or what is that?
What do you hear?
Yeah.
Those doors, I think.
One of the garage doors is missing.
Oh, okay.
So there used to be a door here that's no longer, I don't know where it is.
Sorry, I'm Joanna Merriam. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's no glass in any of those windows.
I noticed on the existing, you can see in the corner of that photograph, the roof rafters are exposed. It looks like in your new design, you're going to also have exposed roof rafters?
That is indeed a design element of both the current garage
Right.
and the existing home.
So you're keeping that factor?
Yeah, we're anticipating keeping that.
Were you, maybe this was your question, I don't know. On the new garage, you have eaves going along the side?
I'm sorry.
On the new garage, you have eaves going along the side at the first floor ceiling? The new design?
Yes, that's
And
correct.
what was the feeling behind that?
We wanted cover over top of the double door.
Oh, okay.
And also on the other side, this area has been utilized, and I think will be continued utilized for cover of firewood. on
Okay.
that side.
Okay.
We did try to just put a portion of the eave just over the door,
Okay.
but it looked better to bring the eave all the way across.
All right. Look, I was wondering, because I looked at it from an aesthetic standpoint, I said, "Huh, they seem to be duplicating that four-square look with the chopped-off roof, but you don't have a rear elevation of that garage, do you?
No, we don't. In plan, there are 3 windows on the first level and 3 windows on the second level. The siding would go all the way up to the eave, of course, but it's actually this in reverse with 3 windows here and 3 windows down there.
And that would just back up into the back of another
That's
carriage
correct.
house, which is on the other
That's
side of the fence.
Right.
So you're really not going to see
Not seeing any of
that at all, really, yeah.
That, in this picture, oops, sorry, I forget. This is the other carriage house.
Yeah, it's hard to see the top of it, but yeah.
Just the top of it.
Okay.
I can see it better here.
Better in this one here.
Yeah.
And it's set far back on the property anyway, so from the road,
It's in the rear corner of the property.
right.
Mhm.
And I see you also kind of took along on the very nice historic photograph you gave us, the large dormer front facing with the triple multi-window. You've kind of taken that kind of feature also, which I think was a nice tie-in.
Thanks.
Yeah, you can't tell from the picture whether the carriage house was there originally. It
Yeah,
might
it's
just be
hard to
cut
see.
off. It's hard to
Exactly.
tell, but,
I don't know whether there was one there or not.
Or
Yeah.
the roof looks, it's hard to say.
Yeah,
You know, I think that we've been sort of having questions about, or concerns about tearing down old carriage houses because there seem to be fewer and fewer of them in the neighborhood. But, and they are important, but in this case, this is such a
Yeah.
basic building and it's in such bad shape. I'm not so sure it really contributes that much to the
Yeah.
neighborhood, so that by
think
putting
that's
back,
true.
by tearing it down and putting back a building that's in keeping with the house,
Yeah.
to me, it makes sense
I
to
think
do that.
so.
Yeah, I took a look at I think it's more of a garage than a carriage house.
Yeah.
There's a
I think
real
so.
carriage house next door.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
later.
This was looked like they may have put it up,
Like
you
a
know,
shed or
1910,
something.
I wanna say
1920, that kind of
20s,
thing.
30s possibly.
And when I took a look at the house, I mean, of the building, you had 2x4s for all of the joists. they all join in the middle, and the center structural elements were pretty much gone, and the entire thing was ready to sink through the middle. The foundation was all rotted out. You had one wall that pretty much had to be replaced with the shakes because they were all rotted out. So, I mean, even if you were to restore this thing, you're going to strip it down to the
Yeah,
bottom anyhow, and you wind up with something that is much more
Exactly.
better looking and actually more complementary to the
Well, I
house.
was going to say, what you're doing, which is nice, that we're kind of here to, not nice, good, that we're here to promote, is you're keeping the overall development pattern intact. And that's the point of this whole neighborhood character, is the house and the area and the location of the existing garage/carriage house is still being kept. And that's kind of what we're trying to keep, so it's good.
Yeah.
So, does anyone in the room have anything to mention? Would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve a COA?
I'll
And
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
It looks like a really nice project.
And you know, this was the recommendation, and it's the commissioners who actually make the approval. Got it.
Thank you.
Next agenda item is 424 Chestnut Lane.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Springer. I'm a designer and registered licensed engineer in Pennsylvania and Maryland, and I am working with Nancy Monahan at 424 Chestnut Lane, and we're doing a little bit of renovations to the back, and so our hard request is to alter a door and a window in the back of the house and put some additional, to change the siding off the back there. If you look at the plan that we have in front, you can see the existing conditions right here. You can see that there's currently a sliding door. There's currently a window over top of the kitchen sink. And there's also a secondary door off to the side that accesses a deck off of the back. The existing side elevation in A2A1 shows the deck right here, but just for purposes of not making it too confusing, I did eliminate the deck off the rear elevations just so you could kind of see what was going on. And you can see the style of the home. I'll bring up some pictures as well to show you. Here is the existing rear of the home right here. This is from one angle. You can see one of the kitchen windows, the sliding door, the window over the kitchen sink. Here's another view from the other angle as well. And let's see if there's any other good pictures. Here's a little more of a close-up, but basically you can see that when this was done, they put some vertical wood boards that have some rot on them and need to be replaced anyway. And the rest of the house is white siding. And so it definitely doesn't relate to the house itself right now. And when viewed from the back, is not that attractive, and which you would like to to clean it up a little bit and make it look a little bit better. So in doing the homework, we looked at the style of windows that were currently on the home, and we looked at some of the homes in the area that had had some work done to them. So here's a neighbor's house. This is on 401 Chestnut, and when they did their recent renovations, this is the back of their home. So they used the double sliding door off the back of pretty much the exact same style house. And so Nancy and Ed would like to be able to make some alterations by taking the old aluminum sliding glass door and changing it into still remaining a sliding glass door, but adding an extra panel, giving the look kind of like the home across the street. And then they'd like to put new windows over the kitchen sink, and that style of window matches more. This is kind of hard to see. When I took it with my iPhone, it looked a lot clearer, but now that I printed it, it's not that clear, but these top two panels here have that cross pattern that looks a lot, that's typical of the house. And you know these houses have different, some windows have the pattern and some don't, but this is pretty much what you see more than not on the house. So it really looks a lot better from the back of the house, not having so many, two different doors was not very complimentary, and this gives you one nice access with good light and a nice sink, a nice window over the sink. And for clarity, here is it's the Anderson wood right, so it's a wood interior, clad exterior window. So this is a little bit more of a close-up. It's in your packet as well.
Are those mullions, I'm never going to think of the right word.
Simulated divided light.
Okay, there.
Yes.
Thank you.
So it looks true to what the house already has, the panes in the glass. And then again, when the wood paneling comes off, or the wood vertical paneling, the idea is to replace it with the horizontal white cement board to match.
The one question I had in general, and I'm not sure if you know the answer, the owner might, is
Yes.
was this kind of addition an addition, or was it always part of the house?
Hi, I'm Nancy Monahan. I'm one of the owners of the house. I believe that it is original to the house because there are about 7 or 8 other identical houses in the neighborhood, and they all have the same exterior
layout. Got it.
section. It looks like an addition, but
But someone, it looks like reordered the windows and doors at some point.
correct. Everything on the exterior rear facade
Right.
has been updated
Okay.
or changed.
Okay, so the footprint's the same, but the window
Correct.
openings and doors are different.
Correct. And we're not changing the existing footprint.
Exactly.
We're just going to
Good.
reface.
Good. Is anyone?
The other thing I just wanted to note is that you're not making changes on the front of the house at all. So it's just the rear and the sides, which really are not that visible.
Correct.
That is correct, just the back of the house.
Yeah.
Now, this is a point, I was talking with another Mrs. Monahan.
What's up?
I was talking with another Mrs. Monahan at your house.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. You look different. You look different. I'm sorry. I thought you had darker hair. I'm sorry.
It's all back.
You had some questions about the windows or the process?
There were some side windows that we are going to be covering up on the inside for our kitchen design. And at some point, given that we're going to cover the interior, we're looking to cover the exterior when we get to that as a project. And a thing to note about those 2 windows, they are not in line or in keeping with really the architectural or historic style of the home. I don't know if you had anything else to add on that with those 2 windows.
We found that if you look at the picture from the other side of the house, we were trying to keep some symmetry about it. And you can see in this picture here, they have 2 very delicate windows that are up high in a room that's up there. And then you come to the other side and you walk in and first of all, these 2 windows are close together. They make no sense on why they're there. You can see them in this lower picture. And they don't complement what's going on the other side. So it doesn't look right. It looks like somebody did something at some point in time and you can't really figure out why they did it. But the back of that part of the house is pretty chopped up as well. So it probably explains that they were trying to put another room in there and get some light in there. So I just think that not only does it lend itself for the kitchen, because we're all trying to take these homes that are older and make them more modernly convenient, but I think it looks better. I mean, if it doesn't complement, it'd be rather best to not have it there.
No, and I think
Yeah, well, the question wasn't what came up was not so much why you want to take them out, and that's fine. I mean, I think we're all in agreement with that. This is more of a technical issue with construction, because we can approve this, as you showed it to us. What they want to do is maybe later on take out those windows.
In other words, it might be a phased thing.
can we do a one?
And how does that
stop-
affect your permits?
Can we do a one-stop recommendation to approve, and whether they do the work now or later, does that matter?
Well, technically, we can't talk about what's not on the paper. So bringing it up
It's on
It-
paper.
Oh, no,
is
it isn't on
paper.
paper.
It's on,
No, what
it's
the-
on-
yeah.
Is to remove those windows?
That's
Yes.
right, that's right.
Correct.
All right.
but, yes.
Technically, there is no permit needed,
To do that?
hence there would be no review from harm.
Okay,
Okay.
there's your
So
answer.
It's a
That's
nice,
good.
a
It
nice
just might-
discussion we're
Okay.
having, because I think you're doing a nice, it seems like you're unmuddling what was already remuddled.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's a nice, good direction you're going, but that's only our opinion, because that's not what we need to vote on tonight.
So that's it.
That sounds good. Is
That's
anyone else here?
No.
Anyone in the room have any comments?
No?
Okay, would someone like to make the motion?
Motion to approve a COA?
And second?
I'll second. I'll add an amendment requiring John to get his eyes checked.
We'll talk about that.
All in favor of all those three, both those, all in favor?
That's funny.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion moved.
Great, thank
Good.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Hmm. 321 St. David's Road. Good.
Good evening.
Hello there.
Hi. I'm Mark Asher. I'm an architect. My firm is Asher Associates. And I'm here representing the Whitmores, and we're proposing renovations and expansions to the home at 321 St. David's. I've been before this board before. We've done some work in Wayne, a recent project on Midland you may be familiar with, home on Windermere, actually another renovation on Windermere that turned out very well. So the project that we're proposing here is all that. This is a pretty special thing we have our teeth into here. This is a beautiful old home, and everything that we're doing to it is there to either enhance that, save that, make it better. I think the renderings speak a little bit for themselves, but I'll walk you through it. My memory of this camera was that it was expanding things and showing it bigger, but I'm not sure it really is. So I didn't bring larger ports.
I think the control room does that.
Control room. Bring it to us. So this is the existing site plan, and of course in yellow is this two-story stone and stucco home. There's a detached garage down here in the corner that we're proposing to remove, and we have to do it quickly before it falls down. And then this, of course, is our proposed site plan. The main body of the house remains. There's an older addition back here that we are removing, not original to the main house. And then the shaded area, of course, are a combination of two-story and one-story additions. And then, of course, a new three-car garage replacing the building that we're tearing down. Everything is zoning conformant, so we're sort of working around those parameters.
If you center that screen, keep it zoomed down. If you keep it in the corner, we can't zoom.
Okay.
All right?
A little better. But again, you have this same booklet in front of you, so I think it's all pretty clear. And then when we get down to it, this is the home that we're proposing. The building is characterized by, a very symmetrical box, simple, hard to pin down stylistically, has a sort of a federal aspect to it, but really the essence of simplicity. And the shutters, the windows, the cornice work, all being matched authentically. The entry here are very unique, covered, all remaining or being refurbished. And then you can see around towards the back where the addition starts, really sort of out of your sight line except for this side addition. There's a new side entry being added to here that mimics this front, that same sort of barrel vault, and then this light sort of glass box sunroom pokes out towards the side. The plan is being sort of repurposed. The plan that's there right now is sort of very center hall, odd configuration. It doesn't, I'm not sure it worked originally, and it certainly doesn't work now. So, part of this renovation, of course, is to make this a modern home for my clients who, living down, living back, good kitchens, good mudrooms, good entries, all of those sort of things that we expect in a new home. So, the rest, past the rendering, are really just sort of a catalog of the renovated parts. We have a stucco building. We're going to match that stucco. What windows come out, of course, are being authentically reproduced. And this is a historic restoration addition. There's no question about it. Again, I think we're trying to make this as seamless as possible. The rear elevation with stone terraces that are matching and pulling off of the stone base that's there right now. Again, a seamless project. This is the side opposite the driveway. There's a bay here that we're extending, but the same bay remains. And then going over to the driveway side, you can see that arched new entry mimicking the front entry that's there right now. And again, kind of a standard catalog of historical restoration parts: the stone base, the stucco, the true divided-light windows, slate. The standing seam roof is probably stainless steel, and so on. So really kind of first-rate project. So that's really the exterior of this thing, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions for me, and I think why don't we start there?
I have a fondness for this house. I've gone by that for 34 years, so. And it's always interested me. Do you think did they have a roof on this before and they chopped it off? Or because you had like a parapet at the top.
Well, that is the crux of the issue. There's a lot of damage up there. The roof is in bad shape, and it's hard to pin this house down stylistically, and it's hard to pin down in a time frame. There seems to be no record of it, no photographs from the historic committee, but it does seem that parapet doesn't seem original to the house to me.
And what kind of roof line is behind now the parapet?
There's a pitched roof behind
very
that.
slightly pitched roof?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and it's a leaking extravaganza.
Okay. Yeah, it is an odd, beautiful, but
Yes.
unusual. I
Yes.
look at it every so often in my own, thinking as I pass.
But I think as I was there the other night, my clients standing here invited the community to come to the house. There were maybe 13 or 15 people who came and plied them with liquor until they agreed that everything was okay. But
Shrewd.
yes, yes. So, of course, it's very well received. I mean, not to get off on that topic, people I think are thrilled that we're doing this. The house has been in various degrees of disrepair for as long as anyone can remember. And so everyone is just thrilled this is happening. But I mentioned it because I was walking up the path to the front of this house and thinking that it's just going to look exactly like this. Because I think as we're, let me flip back to this rendering real quickly. As we're removing the parapet, we're keeping this heavy cornice line, and that's
Yes.
probably seen in the existing photos very well. Let me just flip back to those.
It is
Front here. So this heavy crown and cornice, that whole entablature remains, and then we're taking off to
Right.
a more hip roof, which is slate. But my point is, as I'm walking up the path to this house, the way it looks now is the way it's going to look when it's
Right,
complete.
from a pedestrian viewpoint,
Yes.
my thinking is the cornice is what
Exactly.
notices, not the...
Exactly. So again, I think all in all, this was a hard project to design, frankly, and to make these additions, to make it a modern plan, to know that we have historical review issues in front of us, and find all of those balances. So I think that's where we are.
Okay. My looking through what you were telling me just now, but I was looking at the changes, looking at the overall pattern, because I'm really always caring about that, and the new garage. The fact, when my first, check off good marks is the house, in the footprint of the existing house goes well with, or is typical of the pattern of the existing garage, but now that you're enlarging the house and the site can handle it, and the garage is being enlarged, the ratio is
Right.
stayed
Well,
the same.
I don't think it's a house that's out of scale.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's not a really big project. We're not building a 10,000 square foot
Right.
house here.
And it's a big site.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
fact
so it's
that
all sort of
they're
appropriate.
both growing a little,
Yeah.
so you don't notice right away.
Yeah, so
which
I think
is-
it's really
That's
great.
good. And the main features are, all the window openings are remaining.
Yeah.
They're large and they're grand, and the additions look like they're taking on that same dimensional as well as style.
Yes.
And so I'm feeling it's a good improvement to, like you said, or rehabilitation of the
Yeah, I
beautiful.
think.
Yeah, and, on that block, there's really no consistent style of houses. You get all kinds of mixes there, and actually, if anything, there may be 2 or 3 houses on that block which, with this new hip roof, seems to be more
Well,
similar to.
Right, we thought the same.
Yeah.
Can you tell structurally if that parapet is original or is it
I
not?
was saying,
When I rip it apart, I will. I mean, again, it's there are weak signs in it. If you look at the photographs closely, you'll see there's sort of signs of flashing distress around the cornice. The stucco doesn't seem to match. That doesn't mean it wasn't the original, but it could have been the other half. They maybe painted or restuccoed from the cornice line down. But I don't know if it's original.
I almost want to say it's 50-50 because it has I think classical revival, is that the right?
Yes.
The feel, that
Yes,
the
yeah,
windows are
yeah.
long and shorter on the top.
Right.
So that, I almost want to say could be there, could have been original, or could have been changed, but also once, parapet now could be a little different than the original, if there
Yes.
was. But I think you're keeping the main factors. I don't love the roof line changing, because I think that's a big deal, but the
Yes.
rest is so intact, I feel it's good.
One thing I like about the garage, when you look at it from the street, it lengthens the building without actually being attached to the building, and it just really marries the scale so good. And it's
I
such
see
a
what you
nice
mean. I
site
see what
from
you're
the,
saying. So you see the entire.
yeah, yeah,
Well, I think I'm trying to
very nice design.
dig through here. if I look at the garage, the building that's there now is a gable end. And so we felt, looking at this, that was just too much building. If I carried that roof line all the way out, it was just going to be, it just appear too big. So clipping these gable ends, there was a method to that madness. And then if we have a hip roof on the house, we wanted to sort of link
Yeah.
back to the hip on the garage.
Oh, that's nice.
So, just to get back to the garage for a second, what condition is that in now?
It is about as bad as it can get. We have, among other things, a pretty significant water problem in the back of this property. So that building has been flooded and flooded again for years. How it's still standing, I don't know. So as part of this project, we're going to do a pretty serious stormwater management plan back there, but that we can only do what we can do on our site. The larger problem lies really with the township, and there's a culvert that runs through that whole block that's in various degrees of decrepitude, and I know there are plans afoot for a larger management system down Midland, but I'm told the funds are not there. So, but at any rate, back to the garage for a second, it is just unusable. It's unsafe, not unlike the application before us.
Yeah,
Rotting. It's all wood, sitting in the dirt, rotting structure. It's dangerous, frankly.
And was that, do you think it was originally built at the same time, or do you think it was later?
Well, it's a garage. It's not a. Let me flip see if I can get to
Photo,
my
I think.
photos.
Okay, it's up front.
I have no reason to think that's not original to the house.
But the scale looks a little more like it could have been.
Yeah, it's just, it's a simple frame garage. How contributing, it's, hard to say. But I think, our goal, when I get to the site plan, we're pulling it off of that rear property line, because we don't want to have to take this project to the zoning board. That's sort of one thought, but we're also pulling it away from that culvert. So it gives us a little water management room back there.
Good.
I do have to say that not knowing about the it seems like everyone else doesn't think it's a big deal.
That's
but
my
I
my
think
one issue.
that not knowing whether the parapet is original or not to the house, by removing it and putting a hipped roof on it, I think it really changes the look of the house. Now, whether it's a better look or a worse look is sort of irrelevant, but I'm a little bit uncomfortable with that. I'm just saying that for the record, because
No.
I think it's really, it seems like we're so picky about certain things, balusters and this and that, and then when it comes to
Something.
completely changing the look of the front facade, it doesn't completely change it, but it really, I think it does significantly change it. I feel a little bit
Well,
uncomfortable with that, but
I think, I think we can certainly agree that, in the totality of the project is first rate, if I can be so bold. And, you know, there's, again, such significant water problems up there. There've been roofs on top of roofs on top of roofs. And, you know, I think we felt, and I know my clients felt, that, you know, we just don't want to transfer that problem one more time. You know, to kind of capture that water in this parapet system. So, you know, this was our approach that had certainly its technical leanings. It's you know, there are hip roofs and slope roofs all over the place. I think, again, keeping the parapet line that we've talked about is really the strength of it. You know, and if I had to balance these, you know, 20 positives against that one, I mean, perhaps that's the way I may think about it. And you know,
Well, what do you mean by saying that I mean, you're not keeping the parapet, though, are you? Or
Oh,
am
sure.
I misunderstanding it? Oh, you're keeping the cornice line.
yeah, yeah.
But you're
Oh,
not
I
keeping-
said parapet.
Right, you're not keeping
The
parapet.
cornice and all that entablature.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still have that 18 or 20 inches above what you would think is a normal roof. See, you can see it underneath the hip roof. See that?
So you're saying that the cornice is about?
Right, right.
I see.
And the angle of the new roof is coming from, if I'm correct,
Yes.
the
So
cornice.
how high is the parapet now?
Good question. It looks like,
You know, I'm gonna just guess maybe 3 feet.
I was going to say 3-ish because that's not as high as the window.
Is it that high? It's amazing.
I'd say
Yes, it is.
2.5 or
30
so,
inches,
yeah.
3 feet,
I mean, I think that what you're doing is attractive, and I think that if you look in the neighborhood, like on Orchard Lane, or is it Orchard Road, I always get it confused, but there are 2 houses at least there that are similar to this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you look in the whole, not with the parapet.
Right, I was going to
with the
say,
hip.
Right.
I was going to say it's such, I think,
But-
some,
Right.
oh,
I don't, it just bothers
Well,
me.
it
I'm
hits
saying
me-
it not from an aesthetic point of view. I think what you're doing is beautiful. It's just from a historical
no,
point
I know
of
what you mean.
view,
It's an historic piece.
It's, you know, I would feel more comfortable if I knew that that was or wasn't original before I made a decision. It won't stop me from making a decision, but I have reservations about it.
Yeah.
And the reason, I just want to explain, the reason I have reservations is because I think it's a significant change, the way it looks. The way, and I think it's a beautiful change.
But it is significant.
And I think it fits well within the neighborhood, and I think that the massing is good. But for me, when looking at the house, I think it is making a fairly significant
Well, I think so
change.
too. I guess, not, I won't say counter by any means, but I guess in my own head of thinking what I'm thinking, if I knew every other home in that region of the district all had parapeted roofs, then I'd say, whoa, taking one out here, that's going to change. But the fact there's such a variety of buildings, yes, it's unique, and so it's a unique feature of a unique house. You could make that argument, but in the overall neighborhood character, which is one of our missions here, I don't think it's altering the fabric of that character.
No, I don't
Yeah,
think
the-
it's
the-
altering it within the neighborhood.
Right.
It's
But it's
not, I think.
Your point is that that's the parapet house.
Yes.
It's the only one in
Yes.
Wayne.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
yes.
I don't feel that way. I don't think that, my personal view is I don't think that that has historical significance to it doesn't add or subtract from the historical significance of that neighborhood. So I'm not terribly troubled by it.
I mean, the first time I ever saw that house, what attracted me was, the first thing I actually looked at was the parapet. And when I looked at the whole house, I couldn't understand the house. I liked the way it looked, but I could not understand the house because that parapet made it look quirky. So my mind, this was always a quirky house. It looked good, but it was quirky. Somebody remodeled it at some point, in my estimation. I have no proof of that. And that's how the parapet ended up.
Well,
But
you know,
I may be all wrong
you know,
with
there's
that.
an
I just
addition.
don't know.
You know, the back of this house had a fairly good-sized addition put on at some point that is not so good. And you know, and it's certainly possible that these things change over time. So,
Who knows?
I don't know.
No, I mean, your point is well taken.
I mean, it wouldn't, it won't stop me from, saying, I wouldn't deny it on this, but I just want to make it clear.
No, it's a
Okay.
good point.
How I feel, because I think I think every project that we do sets a precedent
Mhm.
for the next, and I just think it's important to understand why we are approving that, because it does make a difference to the house.
To the house,
So
you're
I
absolutely
just think
right.
we have to make that clear.
Exactly.
That said, I think you're doing a beautiful job. I mean, it's a beautiful
We,
house.
we think it's something special, and we like this idea of making these things in this neighborhood, and that makes the next guy
The
step up and so on.
Yeah, the other thing that I just want to kind of raise is that you really are increasing the footprint of the house. When you, it's not doubling it because you're taking down,
Correct.
part
Correct.
of an addition and building another, but it is pretty significant, and in terms of making it 2 stories instead of 1 story and all that. But in this particular case, I think it's okay because you have such a large lot, and it's not
Exactly.
changing the massing of the
Exactly.
neighborhood. We've had other
Exactly.
projects come before us where they've basically doubled the size of the house, but on a small lot.
Well, yeah, I think we've said it, there's an addition, but it's fairly seamless. And
Right.
it's on the back of the house, and the 1-story portion that you see is, just a sort of a lovely addition in and of
Right.
itself, but, sort of strategically placed to block you from seeing the 2-story
Right.
addition. So again, I don't think there's a scale problem here, where very often there is.
Exactly.
I can,
Yeah.
I won't name names,
No, I
but
know,
certainly.
but
No,
you
you're
walk
right.
around Wayne and you'll,
Yeah.
the
Eh,
historic district, and you'll
Right.
find.
And the other homes and lots are similar,
Yes.
so it's fitting.
And the same is true with the new garage too that you're putting on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it really is a pretty large building,
Mhm.
but because the site and the scale of the house is what it is, I think it works.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was thinking that too. Okay, any other comments here? Someone like to
Okay.
make a motion?
Motion to approve a COA?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any-
Thank you so much.
When you leave, there's an application form where you could submit for the best submittal
Okay.
of the year award.
Yeah.
Excellent.
This is really a phenomenal piece
Thank
you
you.
gave
No, it's
us.
beautiful.
Great job. Bye now.
And the last item is 132 East Beech Tree Lane.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Lisa Guillaume. My husband, John Guillaume, is down the road at a baseball game of my son's. So, we currently live on 217 Walnut Avenue. We've been renting for 9 months. We recently moved from Boulder, Colorado, and we really love the area, and we've been fortunate enough to close on 132 East Beech Tree this past week. So
Good, welcome.
we love the charm of the area, and we've been working with James Bradbury Architecture on renovating this home, 132 East Beech Tree. Our plan is to, 1, reconstruct the front porch that we speculate was, well, it was removed around 1962.
Okay.
The previous owners had been in the house since 1961. And then in addition, add a mudroom and family room and terrace to the back of the house. In doing all this, our intention is to ensure the architectural integrity of the era in which it was built, and then also to improve some aesthetics that need to be fixed and brought up to date. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Josh from JBA. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Josh. I'm here representing James Bradbury Architects. I apologize Jim is unable to attend this evening. I entrust I'll deliver a concise and articulate presentation as Jim would. Before I get started, I wanted to ask if I would be able to pass out some 11 by 17s of some plans that I'll be presenting here. Would you honor that?
While he's doing that, just as a coincidence, we looked at 321 St. David's.
Thank you.
In depth before purchasing this house. And there was speculated that there was a fire in that house.
Oh.
And so when we took architects through and everything else, there was speculation that there was a fire, and so there originally was a pitched roof.
That, you know what, that makes a lot of sense, and thank you for that detail.
Yeah, that's really
Because it does
interesting.
I was
have
going
a,
to bring it up if you weren't going to approve it. so-
well, you could,
Oh, we should have had public comment.
Sorry.
the
Yeah,
the
the house that we
parapet
just
house.
approved.
Yes,
Right.
Yeah.
So we had seriously considered that house.
interesting.
And that's what we had heard along the way, and bringing architect through, builder through, and other things that we investigated is that it had a fire at one point, and hence they changed the roof line.
Makes some sense.
Right.
Yeah, that
Yep,
makes
that
sense.
makes a lot of sense.
It's interesting.
So getting into the guts of things here, real quick, I just wanted to guide you to the site plan, give you an appreciation for what is existing and how we're grafting these new interventions onto the home. What you see here in white is everything that's existing footprint. It's pretty much a large square mass with a rectangular addition that was put on at one point period. I direct you now to the first floor plan.
Josh, you want a hand mic?
I'm sorry?
Would you like a hand mic?
Yeah, that'd be helpful if you don't mind. Appreciate that. Thank you. So, is this the one? Good, thank you. So, speaking of the new interventions here, looking at the first floor plan, first piece of this is a new front porch of approximately 475 square feet added to the front of the home, and it also partially wraps the side. We led to believe this was an original element of the home, and we're trying to recreate that feel with this new frontal addition. We've also extended off the northeast corner of the home here. Again, you can feel the existing footprint was about this line. So we've popped off the, I'm going to call this the planned north end by 4 feet or so, thus allowing a mudroom and a new side entry point to the home. Off the back side, you'll see about a 600 square foot or so family room and breakfast nook addition that we've added off to the back side. We've strategically stepped it down a couple steps to allow you to go down into the home, and the grading is a couple feet below finished floor of the home. So you graciously come down into the family room and come back out onto the terrace that we've also added to the rear portion of the site. Again, another few steps down to grade. A peaceful transition down to grade, if you will. The reason I passed this booklet out to you was that we've made 2 changes since our preliminary submission that I wanted to bring to your attention here. The first was we've reduced the return of this front porch. In the original submission, the porch came back to this rear corner here, if you will. And we've since brought it back and returned to about the halfway point. So I wanted you to know about that. The second thing we've done here that you're going to see as being different is the rear terrace. In the original submission, the terrace protruded out about yay far. We've since drawn that back, and just to give you some background, the reason we had done that was for budgetary concerns and for impervious. So a slight scale back in the nature of the...
It's flush with the wall of the house now.
It's going to be flush with the wall, that is correct. So those are really the plan changes. There's been some minor interventions within some partition rearrangements and the typical upgrade to bathrooms, kitchens. I would point out that we did have some window reconfigurations here and there, but very minor. If we could jump to the elevations, I'd like to get in that with you if you don't mind here. Let me flip sheets here. Okay, so starting at the front of the home here. First new intervention.
Josh, I didn't get, you said there was one other change?
That was it. It was the
terrace
reduction
and
of the...
And the porch wall.
It was a porch wall.
And the terrace is less out of the
Okay.
profile of the house.
Okay.
That's correct. Reduction of the terrace and the porch return. So interventions on the front of the home, the simple guys. We've added some dormers here adorning the left and right-hand side of this front roof. Simple shed dormers, again, window profiling to hopefully match and complement existing. The front porch it's a lower shed roof. I don't know if you're aware of some of the existing roof lines on some of the adjacent neighbors. They do tend to get a little bit steep. We've tried to keep this more shallow and a little more friendly, if you will, especially dressing the corner with this porch. The steeper profile pitch was a tough thing to take around the corner. Moving to the side of the house, you'll get a sense of appreciation for what we've done here for the addition that stubs off the rear of the home. Again, family room. We've tried to articulate the length of it with a dormer intervention. Again, just a simple shed. And as Jim and I got looking to the length of that roof line, it felt a little bit long to us, so we tried to chop off the end with a simple hip.
My question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was one of my questions. I was wondering why you did that. Okay.
Yeah,
And that-
just to,
You answered it.
keep it feeling from being so long and protruding off the back end.
And that, the phrase for that, I think, is one of the best architectural phrases, shred head.
There you go.
So you now have a shred head.
The side entry, we've, again, made an architectural gesture by extending the roof over the side entry door. And we'd like to propose some sort of bracketry at that roof extension that's mimicking, and such a strong detail in these homes is the corner bracketry about the curved portion of the home. So a gesture similar to what's seen in the other bracketry. I'd like to real quick just take you to the back of the home here. So going around the corner, looking at the rear of the home, there was a request to have it be a little more glassy and open to the terrace and the rear yard, if you will. That being said, we've articulated the facade with French doors, transoms. Again, bringing a nice sense of light to within this family room. We've introduced a clear story. And this breakfast room addition, we've articulated a little bit, trying to differentiate materiality, introducing just some boarding and stucco applique, trying to break up the cedar siding applique. Just a little bit about some details and materials here. We've introduced, again, at the rear elevation, just a simple, I'm going to call this a band board, and it's just a simple bead board, and we're hopeful that this area above this bead board or band board would pop ever so slightly. There's just some simple little articulations that we've added that are nice gestures to the home, also complementing the home. Exposed rafter tails. There's a trellis element that we've introduced. Just some little bits and details that go a long way, I think, marrying up to the existing character of the home. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Would you honor some material presentations that I brought here? I've brought a quick sample board. I don't know if I
That'd be
could give you a
great to
quick
see.
flavor
Yep.
of what we had in mind as far as materials.
Ah, excellent.
So here's the kicker, too. We want to rethink the color scheme of the home. What we have in mind is just a very simple tan, creamy, earthy coverage of all the cedar, and the new addition being clad in a James Hardy simulated cedar shake, if you will, with little bits of stucco that are existing. Again, that breakfast nook being clad in this stucco, and just some white trim throughout, just to blend and complement the whole facade. Terrace being clad in outfit with bluestone, some decking boards, again, white gutters, downspouts, half rounds, full rounds. If you notice, the existing home has asphalt, so we're proposing an asphalt shake to match existing, and then window packages, clad white aluminum simulated divided light spacer bar, a nicer window hopefully. So.
Just an information thing for me. We let's see, the side door Let me see, I don't know.
On the east elevation?
That's what I'm trying to get. Facing the front of the building on the left-hand side, we are putting the side door. They're existing, I think there's a window and two thin windows, one on top of each other. They look like they're going up on stairways. I've seen that on a number of houses in Wayne. Is there that's what I was figuring. Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like.
There are windows that aren't bringing any light into the house. They're for that back staircase.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they're.
Right.
Forgive me, too. I may have neglected the windows that we would entertain reconfiguring. There was also this window on the side elevation that we're entertaining eliminating for the docking of the kitchen range and 2 double ovens in that approximate general location. And to further that, there's 2 adjacent windows that I'm
Oh, I see.
pointing
I
to
see.
here. I don't know if you can see those guys.
That's the west
odd-
elevation on your illustrative, on your,
the
yes,
west
yes, I
elevation.
see now.
Again, similar to what the other folks here that presented were experiencing, there's some odd duck windows
Yeah,
that we
because those aren't matching, right?
try and revamp and bring some symmetrical-like windows left and right at that general area.
But it's a asymmetrically, many of the windows existing were, was a triple and then on that same side, so you're kind of retaining the asymmetry even though you're making it work for you by removing that window.
That
which
is the
works.
general
It's
idea.
not changing the overall pattern, is in my book. So I like
I
it,
had
it's good.
a question on the porch. This style house in North Wayne, the ones that do have front porches, they have the carved supports and on the front. Is there any thought of trying to match that?
Be honest with you, I don't
The
think
posts,
we.
yeah.
I don't think we were, to be honest with you. It'd be quite an ambitious undertaking to
Yeah, it could be very
introduce-
expensive, actually, but
I would point out, though, that we would like to introduce some sort of articulation of capital and base. And you can see on the elevations, we're hopeful we could introduce some sort of just very minimalist, a panel raise at the center point of that post, just to give it a bit of articulation.
yeah. Mhm.
I think to further that, setting it on the masonry pier and a strong base, I think, gives it a nice grounded presence and gives it something more that perhaps plunking a front porch on there would be lacking.
Yeah, a good contrast is right down the street where they just put up, I guess, 6x6s or 4x4s. You got one of the pictures.
But you look at the one across the street, 401 Woodland has the carved posts. They have the. Yeah, I was just thinking that it's probably they probably threw it all out. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
Oh, yeah, 233 East Beach Lane. It's just pretty much straight posts. And the articulation that you show there really adds some character. And melds much better with the house.
And the balustrade looks like it's a fitting feature.
Let's be honest, too, it's probably going to be a synthetic material. We've tried to keep it fairly tame and tasteful, just square elements,
Right.
not as a function of trying
Right.
to over-exaggerate it, but just keeping the material honest and simple and pure and not
It's
get carried away with it.
Painted anyway, so. So I think it's fitting.
Are you doing anything to the garage?
No.
Okay.
The garage
curious.
is in fairly good condition.
Mhm.
Internally, we have to fix some things to make it more structurally sound, but I'm not doing anything to it right now. And that's, the garage, as you can, is right, is in alignment on Woodland, so on this left entrance, hence why
That's
the
right.
mudroom is
That's
at
right.
that side of the house.
That's right. So we should we should photo document your carriage house garage before anything happens to it. Good. Any thoughts? Any public?
Hi, Greg Pritchard, 407 Woodland. Going to be your neighbor soon. Well, first of all, congratulations on the house. It's a great house, and so glad that the porch is coming back to it. That's really looked missing without it. But I'm a little worried about the roof line of the porch. It looks like it's sloping gently, but the original design of the house, and we're looking at 401, which still has the original porch. The roof line of the porch was originally intended as a continuation of the roof above, and sort of gently sloping down. And the reason that the windows on the second floor up here are shorter than the one here is because the slope went up like that. It would be great to have that kind of detail back. I don't know if it's feasible, but
It's good to know, though.
but you can keep this picture from the Historical Society of. I think that's on Chestnut, actually, corner of Chestnut and Beechtree. But same design of house. So.
Do you know what period of that photograph was taken?
Around 1890.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the Price Brothers design houses in
Right.
Wayne. So.
Okay, good to know.
Thanks.
That's good.
We did struggle with that, and we've looked at that roof line again. The struggle being the return of the roof around the side. Carrying of that roof line would have put you up way past the existing windows that adorn the side of the house. Was our primary concern. I don't know too. That I've struggled in my head too. Is this oddball window something that throws people off with a lower shed roof of this sort? Or is that, hey, this is what this house used to be. This tells the story of what it was. Is that maybe something that's interesting and worthwhile keeping and talking of that story?
I agree.
Well, the house that's in the picture, it's my understanding that we will be hearing from them about putting on a front porch very shortly, so let's see how they do it.
And we wanted to really put a return on that porch because right now, right here, there's a very unsightly pool that probably hasn't been opened in about a decade. And so we're filling in the pool.
Okay.
We just want to make that flat grass and then be able to enjoy it from the porch.
Makes sense. Sounds good.
So, what is the problem with the return if you were to make it steeper?
Because the windows on the
So if we were to return that,
Oh,
forgive me here. If we were to return that roof at about that dimension, you can see it substantially laps those windows. And if we were to basically tooth out around those windows, that roof line would be nearly 2/3 up the window, and I think you'd have just a very unsightly tooth out at that window location. Thus this less generous, more modestly pitched roof.
so those windows are new then? Are you replacing those windows?
We're actually flanking it left and right with a pair of windows. It's just a single existing double hung at this location.
And originally, did the porch wrap around like that?
It's hard to say. We're led to believe that it did not. It was just a straight chop at the front facade. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Did
I'd
it
say
return?
no, I'd say it definitely didn't originally, but there are examples in the neighborhood where very early on people had extended the porch, and I'm not sure what they did with the pitch of the roof as it merged with the front gable, but yeah, that'd be something worth looking at maybe.
And I know So they have, so here's the one down the street that they removed the porch. Again, I think there was a period of time when, in the sixties especially, when they really rotted and people started removing the porch.
Mm.
So at 311 Oak, that's the one that's on the big corner there with really no backyard but a huge front yard. They removed the porch altogether and they actually squared off these round corners and made the house very square, and then put on a big front terrace without a porch. So that's the solution. And they changed those original windows to square them in the front.
The way you're showing it now, it looks like the windows are still below the roof line of the, when it wraps. Is that right?
That is correct.
So you're cutting out part of the roof of the porch in order to have the windows exposed?
That is correct.
And if you were to make it higher, then you would have to cut out a lot more.
That is correct.
And I think you have to extend the circle roof on it because it steps back.
It does. There's a step in the facade there too, which would be,
How you turn the corner because there's a step in the facade.
it would be a quirky result for sure.
Yeah. As you can see here, this is what we're talking about right here.
Does anyone else have further comments or questions?
Well, I mean, I think it's great that you're putting the porch back. And I like the detail on it compared to the picture. It looks like it's fairly similar.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been nice to somehow have a steeper, just because it's a price house. I mean, I think there are a lot of them in Wayne, but they're really historic.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think it's a compromise in this case because you're putting the porch back.
Exactly.
And you're wrapping it around. So, what is that room? Is it with the 3 windows? Is it a bedroom or?
It is. It's a master bedroom
Oh.
scheduled.
Okay. So really, in this case, it's a question of
Mhm.
compromise.
It's a compromise. Any other comments?
I'll make a motion to approve a COA
And
for
second?
this project.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you for good presentation.
I just have one comment. This is not part of, can I make a comment?
Sure.
I mean, I don't know what all the logistics are here. If there were any way to relook again at trying to solve that or make it a little bit higher, and this is not a condition of any approval or anything like that, but just if you could relook at it, it would be, it'd be good.
I kind of want to for my own curiosity.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a nice house, and these price houses are really pretty special.
I love that differentiated window, like the pair of 3 that are in the front there.
Yeah.
It's such a strong statement.
I know.
Having that roof dress that.
No, I think it's really
No,
worth
the thing
looking
is
at.
that roof is long gone. It's not like they're tearing
True.
that one down to
I
put this
know.
one in.
That's true.
So
I know.
this
It's not
is a
replacement.
plus.
You're right.
Exactly. That's why,
That's a good way to
You
look
know.
at it.
But it solves that mystery of that weird window.
Right.
Yes, it does.
It actually
Could
has,
not
and
figure that
from
out.
the porch being removed, it has a structural issue on the second floor where it's causing sagging. So you can
Oh.
actually see it sag from the front of the house.
Interesting.
They all sag.
I know.
They all sag.
don't remind me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Last little bit here is any new business? And old business, I have one, I think if it's old business, but Cam, who's not here tonight, had mentioned, I believe, at one of the previous HARB meetings, that he and some of us were going to speak at a Board of Commissioners meeting about how preservation and zoning kind of interface. And Corey Kegerice from PHMC is going to also be at the May 14th Commissioners meeting, and Cam is going to show just a little bit of a presentation that maybe speaks to how does preservation, massing, scale, setbacks, typical zoning, language features, how they kind of interface, and will hopefully clarify some of the questions we've all had. So that's May 14th, I believe. At the Board of Commissioners meeting, I'm not sure where we are on the agenda, but I guess those meetings start at 7? Is it? So let's hope towards the beginning. But that's all. So any other business? Okay, meeting adjourned.